Hi everyone, have some major updates to show you on our system, Fortify Guardian. You'll now see two new menu items here, My Checklists and My Marketplace. It used to be Checklists, renamed to My Checklist so it was a little more clear, and then My Marketplace, which is different than the Browse Marketplace, which comes from the root level. I'm going to show you how both these work. I'm going to start with checklists here. You can create a checklist manually. It'll fill in a couple of default columns and a couple of rows just to pre-populate it a little bit. You can also choose from a template. Basically, that brings in the columns. It doesn't bring any data in from the system, but it brings all the columns in. And then you have this create a linked list feature. Basically, it makes it a master list, so anyone that's subscribed to this particular list, if we make a change at the master level, then everything else down below gets changed. So let's say you have an onboarding list that you change it at the master, everywhere through the system, that anywhere it's assigned, that list gets updated with that latest information. So that's how that works. But I'm going to import a list from a CSV here that I've already got made. It's a simple little questionnaire. And you can pick your column types here. You can change this after you get into the system, into the editor. It'll show you what these things are. I'll show you where those editing features are. When it shows up here, you're going to see a viewer, an editor, a version history. It's unlimited versions. Versions can be restored to new lists, or they can be overwritten the existing list if something really screwed up. And you got the delete button. Delete button will always be here if the assignments are 0 or the delete lock feature is disabled. The delete lock feature is right in there. And then if you turn that on, then the trash bin will disappear out there. Here's the option to turn it into a linked list. Again, I'm going to save that again. Be sure to save as you go as you're making these changes so that nothing happens. I'm going to click on the editor here for the columns. They're on the left over here. These actually save. Whenever you save, it actually saves it to the system in real time, just so you know that. But you've got, you can change it to rich text. I can specify how many pixels wide I want it to be, or I can have it auto width in here, and then editable or not editable by people. So I'm going to say I want this to be 500 pixels wide, and just go ahead and save that, and there it is. It's always going to wrap the first 2 lines of text. If there's more than 2 lines of text, then it's not going to show that, but it'll always wrap the first 2, and you can always click on it and just edit it right in there. You've got all different kinds of custom column types in here. You've got dates, drop-down boxes, check boxes, item number. That's what that does is if the data in the column has to be unique for the row, so you can't have like the number 1 twice. It'll always look for duplicates and warn you if there's duplicates, so it requires unique item number. Percent complete is just that. This is what actually calculates the percent complete at the top on the projects. So when you see this percent complete button up here, that feature right here, that's controlled by this. And I didn't add my 25% in there, so let me click this in here, and we'll do 25%, and actually I'm just gonna do 50%, and click add, and then click save. And then that should be available on the drop down now. So there it is, 50%, and then you can see my percent completes change, right? So that's just so you know, that's how that works. So you can play around in this. There's lots of features like sections and subsections, and the fixed hierarchy if something gets kind of messed up, and that sometimes happens with these sections and subsections when you insert them in. You click that button, it'll fix everything and make sure everything is adjusted properly in there. It's just kind of a fail-safe button that I put in there just in case. You'll notice it says master list up here. That's because this linked list is selected, and you'll see that throughout the system. Otherwise, it's called the standard list. So there we go. Go ahead and play around in there. I noticed the trash bin disappeared because we got the delete lock feature turned on. I'm going to go to My Marketplace now, and this is where you can create your listings. You have 2 tabs up here, My Listings and Assignments, so you can see where things are assigned at. If it's in use, you cannot delete it, but you can always adjust the quantity. And I'm going to go ahead and create a listing here. I'm going to call this one questions. And I'm going to select that list, that questions list. You can adjust the quantities as minimum quantities. It'll always put it in there. But all the billing functionality is disabled for right now. This will be a future thing that we put in. You can select who it's available to from a marketplace perspective. You probably won't be using this right now too much, but just know that you can, pick specific organizations or make it available to everyone. Then status: active is active, draft is draft. Draft is no longer, no one can see it. Inactive means it was in use and at one time it was assigned out. It's maybe assigned to projects currently. If you flip it to inactive, then no one else can purchase the license after that point, but the license can continue to be used on those projects. And then archive, it will disable the license wherever it's in the system and in use. I'm going to flip this to active. I'm not going to put in a description in there, and there is our license. It's 0 quantity. Trash bin is available because it's 0 quantity. If it changes to 1, then the trash bin disappears. This is the assign button, so I can assign this to a particular customer if I want. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to assign it to customer 22. Again, ignore the term length. That's a future billing thing that we've got in there. And then notice the trash bin disappeared because I've got one assignment. If I go over to assignments, you can see it's assigned to customer 22. If I want to, I can delete the license from customer 22 or make adjustments. So let's go over to customer 22, and we'll look at this particular customer. I'm going to click on licenses in here, and then you'll see that license has been assigned to them. I'm going to go ahead and create a project in here. I'm going to call this project questions, and now you've got a standard project and Microsoft 365 project, 2 different types now. That's a new thing. We'll call this questions. I'm not going to give it an identifier. You could use this for like a project number or something like that, and we'll go ahead and create that project. Once that project has been created, I can assign a license to it, and I'm going to go ahead and assign that questions license to it. You cannot assign the same license to a project twice, just so you know, and there it is. So now if I click into that project, I can see that checklist. I can assign more than one license to a checklist now, to a project now. So if I want to assign a Fortify project into here, I can. So now I can have more than one thing assigned to, more than one license assigned to a project now. That's, again, a new feature in here. So I'm going to go ahead into this. You'll notice that this blue header means this column is locked, but all of these are editable. So if I wanted to edit this, I can. That one's a rich text editor. That's why this window pops up. And go ahead and save that. And then I got my percent completes. Notice these came through from the master because we set them at the master. So even percent completes will all even come through. But you can make adjustments in here and say, whatever you want to do in here, and then save the changes. Same features you've used before, but that's how it all works. That's some of the core new features we've got in the system. Have fun playing with it. If you come across any bugs, any errors or warnings, please let me know. We've got a new provide feedback button up here, so if you run into something, this is how you can do it. I get an email and it shows up on our feedback list, so hey, it's a bug report and this is what it has. You can put links in here, you can put images in here, so feel free to give me all the information through the feedback form if you want to do that. There you go. You know where to find me. We'll talk to you all soon. Bye.